Science Alliance. Hello, I am Lara. This is Theatre of Science. I stream free live lessons to home educators and it's our first Woodlands lesson and I'm so excited. This was your idea, not mine. It was a brilliant idea. I've learned so much about trees already. So lesson 1 is, what is a tree? There is a particular word relating to trees which has always really annoyed me, and that's what this first activity was about. We won't actually go through the answers yet, sorry, we'll go through it pretty much at the end. But just so you've all seen it, I said, can you match these pictures to these words? So the pictures are someone taking a coin away from a pile, a cupcake going downstairs, a key on a computer, and a pile of poo. And can you match those pictures to the words descend, deduct, defecate, delicious, and delete? So do you know, if you know about trees, do you know what words I'm thinking of that really annoys me about trees? And we will look at what that D actually means. But anyway, we won't do that yet, actually. So I called this lesson, What is a Tree? You might think that's really obvious. I suppose it is obvious. It's kind of an important question. Like the Forestry Commission hand out licenses to people who want to cut down trees, like a felling license. And if you've illegally cut down a tree and you go to court, they need to be able to prove that it was a tree. So like legally, to be able to protect trees, we need to define what a tree is. So I'm just going to show you some pictures. It's really annoying because I haven't taught you what a tree is. I just want you to like, let's just gently warm up your brain. Let's do a little bit of thinking. Which of these do you think, just use your intuition, yeah? Do you reckon is a tree, and which just doesn't quite feel tree-like to you? So I have to now describe these to people who can't see the screen without using the word tree. A is like, it's like a bush. A bush could be a tree. Is that a tree? It's like a pile of leaves being supported by branches on the ground, but you can't see the trunk. B is a trunk with some leaves on the top. C is a palm tree. I'm just going to say it's a palm tree. D is loads of quite thin trunks. Sorry, if you're watching live, my husband is in the room and he's just moving a bit of furniture that has a massive pot plant on it. It's fine. D is lots of small trunks coming out of the ground, but it's very big. E is, you probably recognise that leaf. E is a holly plant, but it's tiny and it's in a little pot. F is a tall, green-stemmed plant which has got lots of purple flowers on it. G is a slender trunk surrounded by branches and leaves. H is a massive purple bush. It's very tall and purple, and you can't really see. It does have woody stems, that picture. And I is a branch with some leaves on the end. What do you reckon? Yeah, sorry if you're joining us live. Our internet has broken, so I can use the internet on my phone, but at the end of the live lesson on YouTube, I usually say, Facebook page and leave me a comment. You can, and I'll say hello, but I can only do that if you've got internet. So my very introverted husband is currently in my office while I'm teaching, which has never happened before, and is really weird and awkward for both of us, because I'm used to it just being you and me, you know, me and you, no other real person in the room. It's okay, it's gone now. Have you got on? Should we sort of go through it? I just want a really quick yes, no, yes, no. You don't need to think about it. It doesn't matter if you're wrong, because, to be honest, there's not really any right answer. Sorry to be annoying. This one's just to get us thinking. Okay, I'll blow my nose and then I'll go through the answer. Okay, so what do the Forestry Commission say is a tree? There's loads of different definitions of tree, but the UK Forestry Commission say, to be considered a tree, the plant must have at least one woody stem and be expected to achieve a height of at least 5 metres. So it doesn't have to be 5 metres high, but it needs to be expected to achieve a height eventually of 5 metres. All right, so let's do the obvious ones. B is just a tree in it, and I is a tree as well. They're just trees. G is also a tree. Yes, it is. It's not 5 metres tall, I don't think, yet, but there's no reason why it wouldn't be. E, I don't know. I mean, it's in a pot plant. It's in a pot, right? So it wouldn't reach 5 metres in that pot. So if you snipped that bit of holly, you'd be a monster, but I don't think you'd be cutting down a tree. You'd have to plant it out, and then the Forestry Commission would consider it a tree. F isn't a tree, it's a foxglove. It hasn't got a woody stem. It's a plant. It is a native plant to the UK, if you're watching in the UK like me. And it does live in woodlands. But it ain't no tree. Palm trees aren't trees, guys. I know. We'll talk about why later. Palm trees, not a tree. So tree isn't a very scientific word. Shrub isn't a very scientific word, but it's such a good word. So we had to talk about it. The internet seems to agree that a shrub is either a small tree Or maybe a shrub. Quite a lot of people would think of a shrub as being something that has loads of branches coming out of the ground like that, not just one trunk. So obviously you get tree trunks where they split up. That could be a tree, but according to most people on the internet, if it's all just different trunks coming out like that, then it's a shrub, and it would be smaller as well. Specific word, but I think I don't think that's going to... Which, again, is just a small mystery that has really pleased me. So these are all holly. And if you look up holly on, say, Wikipedia, say with bay and quite a few plants, it'll say it's a shrub or a tree. So that's what that means, is that if it gets up to sort of 5 meters, if it's in a situation where it can really let go, then holly is a tree. But if it's quite small, it's just, I don't know, it's had some stunted growth, or someone's kept it small, or it's all branching off in different directions, then it would be a shrub, right? And I guess that's a sapling. So D, I don't know, if you cut down D and they tried to take it to court, maybe you could argue that that was a shrub because it's got all these different bits sticking out. Well, I don't know. We need to talk about this purple one because that's something called rhododendron. So it does have a woody stem. And again, if you look it up, you will see that it can be a large shrub or a small tree, depending on how big it gets. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's in flower at the moment. If you live in England like me, I've seen it around. Apparently, it's a right blooming nuisance in the UK. You can just tell that it didn't live here originally, can't you? It's not a native species. In fact, it's what's called an invasive species. Humans went over to Asia in the 1800s, thought, oh, that looks pretty, brought it over here, and now we can't stop it. It's just growing everywhere. It grows really big, and it makes loads of shade and sort of strangles the native plants. And the native insects and animals have evolved to need the native plants. So it's apparently it's really annoying, and it gets everywhere. Right, so that's basically what a tree is. Another thing that I will admit that I have learned that I didn't know is what tree roots actually look like the shape of tree roots. And I'm going to do another really annoying thing where I just ask you without telling you. Which of these do you reckon has the most realistic roots? And then we'll do our activity and talk about water. Which tree has the most realistic roots? Is it number 1, where the roots look almost the same as the branches above, but not quite? Is it number 2, where the branches are quite a lot shallower than the roots are much shallower, they don't go as deep into the ground, and they reach about the same width as the tree? Is it 3, where the roots go quite deep and they're like a triangle, so they're wider at the top and narrow at the bottom? Is it 4, where the roots are very shallow and they stretch out further than the roots of the tree? Or is it 5, where the roots are pretty much identical to the branches? They do exactly the same thing that the branches do. I would have definitely got this wrong. I knew this was a good question because when I taught this live on Facebook yesterday and the day before, when there were comments, pretty much all in a row, 5 people had said, it's 1, no, 3, 4, 2, 5. Nobody knew. I definitely didn't know. In fact, I don't think anyone knows because I had to change the image actually. 4 of these pictures are just pictures that I got off the internet that artists drew. And one of the images I had to make it up because I couldn't find an artist who'd drawn what trees actually look like. It's number 4. That's what they look like. I know. Turns out most roots are in the top 60 centimetres of the soil and stretch at least as far as the tree's height, but maybe quite a lot further. But yeah, I couldn't find that on the internet. I had to change this one. All artists want to think, it's just a nice idea, isn't it? That the roots below are like a direct kind of in relation proportion to the what, but no, it's not true. Tree roots apparently get a really bad reputation. Let's do our activity and talk a little bit about water and tree roots. So what you've got to do, just thinking, what am I going to prop you up on? Maybe I don't have to prop you up on anything. Let's see. You need a coin. Some of you will have done this before. Oops, sorry. I didn't make this one up. Some of the theatre of science activities I make up, but if you look up science activity kids online, you will find this quite quickly. It's how many drops of water can you get on a penny? So you can't see it actually. Maybe, should I use this book? I want it to try and be on a flat surface. Oh yeah, that's not quite level, is it? Maybe this Jurassic Park annual. Oh no, but I don't want it to get wet. No, it can't be that. It's got to be waterproof. Flip this upside down. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Maybe you just need to be a little bit higher. Yes. Nailed it. There we go. So you just put drops of water onto a penny, and you see how many drops of water you can get any. So while I'm doing that, I'm not actually going to count them. I'm sorry. To be honest, I don't really care. I just love how it looks at the end. Yeah, tree roots get a really bad reputation. If I live in a house where trees are quite often dropping seeds, or birds are dropping seeds quite near my house, and little trees start to grow. And I don't like to get rid of them, but I do worry because I've heard that tree roots can really damage property. Like, tree roots are really strong. If they grow towards your bricks and hit your bricks, it can really damage your house. And houses are really expensive. Like, I love trees, but I don't want to lose tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds because I've got a tree growing out of my house. But yeah, it turns out reputable sources on the internet have told me that unless it's a tiny little garage and the tree's like 2 or 1 metre away from the garage, it'd probably be fine. I mean, don't quote me on that. If you end up with an oak tree growing out of your house and it falls apart and it's all my fault. But apparently claims are wildly exaggerated. So what's happening here? This is lovely, isn't it? Can you see that? You will find, if you're doing this with me, that you've got a skin on top of your coin of water. I better flip you round. Ooh, I better flip you round. There we go. Gorgeous. So you'll have noticed when you put your finger into the water that the water sticks to your finger. But wow, best one yet. Oh, it's always the best on YouTube. But it's also sticking to itself, isn't it? You can see that the water particles would rather stick to each other really than stick to the coin. So we've talked about this a lot on Theatre of Science. Shall I do more? I don't care if it flows over because this is just a plastic container. Oh, yes. Water particles are like magnets, right? They're like teeny tiny little magnets. They've got a positive end and a negative end. So water particles form this kind of skin where the negative ends and the positive ends all stick together, and you do get this kind of skin of water particles like this. That's called surface tension. So they are, you would say, they're adhesive and they're cohesive. They stick to other things and they stick to each other. So good. I'm just going to keep going, right? Come on. Oh, there, I did it. Okay. Right, so this is super useful for trees. We're going to talk about how trees suck up water. Shall we talk? I tell you what. Let's talk about. Let's get to that bit. I've got a little diagram here, because usually in Theatre of Science we go really deep into just a few things. But today, because this whole series of lessons, we're doing 7 lessons on Woodlands, we just kind of really need to quickly cover all the different bits of what a tree is, basically. So you might have heard of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is plants making their food, plants using sun to make sugars, and that's how everything else on the planet survives, basically, by eating the sugars that the plants have made. And this is the equation that you'll see if you learn about it. So trying to make it a bit more real, because it's quite a boring equation, and it's such an incredible thing that actually happens. So there's carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, right? Carbon dioxide, it's a gas, you might have heard of it, it's causing global warming, it's causing a lot of problems for humans. Carbon dioxide is 1 carbon particle with 2 oxygen particles joined together, right? And it's a gas, and this picture looks really weird, but I promise you it's not. Trees have got little holes in them. It just looks so gross. These holes are called stoma. So that's a stomata. That is the stoma of a tomato plant that I found on the internet through a telescope, a microscope. So trees take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Yay, trees! Thank you. In it goes. Whoa, it took me ages to do that. And they store it in their leaves. Well, yeah, it goes into the tree. That's the first thing that happens. And trees also take in water, right? And water, you might have heard it called H2O, particle with 2 oxygen particles joined together, and that goes in through the roots. There we go. So that's the first thing that happens. So how to take in that water? And then, well, all right, spoilers, let's go to the end. They use that with the energy from the sun To make sugar, the posh word for sugar is glucose. It's just a load of carbon and oxygen and hydrogen particles all bonded together, and they give off oxygen as well, luckily for us. Whee, brilliant. So how do they actually take in water? Well, what it is, I said to bring an elastic band. I haven't got an elastic band, I've only got a balloon, but actually that's quite good for my purposes. This is a very poor drawing of well, it's not a root, actually. So what happens is, let's draw, there's our leaf with our little hole in it. Let's take the... Trees have got tubes which take in water. Well, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself. You might hear that trees suck up water through their roots. That is actually not quite right. What happens is, particles in nature like to spread out, okay? So if particles in nature are all squished together, they tend to spread out. You will know this just intuitively if you've ever dealt with a balloon. You put air into a balloon, and the air particles in this balloon are now all squished together, right? And they want to escape. You have never ever, have you, let go of a balloon and had air from the room rush into the balloon? That's not what happens, because the particles in the balloon are squished and they want to spread out. So they just naturally, because physics, go in that direction. So it's the same with trees and water. Gets a blue pen. If there's loads of water particles all squished together in the soil, the tree doesn't have to suck them up or pump them or anything like that. The water particles just naturally, like air comes out of a balloon, go into the tree. I'm going to stop saying root because there is a tube in the tree which carries the water up, and we should learn the word because it's a word, and it also relates to the tree trunk, which I want to look at. It's called the xylem. There we go. Starts with an X. It's a good Scrabble one. So they have tubes which run from the ground up to their leaves, which are called xylem. And these things carry the water, right? And just like we saw, water particles stick together. So you end up with this chain of water particles all stuck together like teeny tiny little magnets. And you've got this hole in the leaf, which we've looked at, which isn't rude, even though it sort of sounds a bit rude. So when the water particles get to the leaf, they get to this hole. The plant actually doesn't use a lot of its water particles. Trees suck up a lot of water that they don't really end up using. What happens is the wind blows and the sun shines and water evaporates from these little holes and goes into the air. So when that water particle leaves, what happens? Another water particle kind of joins on the chain and it all goes up again. That's nice, isn't it? So I didn't know this until I started researching these lessons. Trees actually have little naps during the day. So if you get your elastic band, what happens is, imagine you've got your elastic band, okay, it's relaxed. The bottom of your elastic band is water particles going into the xylem. I guess your elastic band is it's the chain of water particles inside the xylem. And the top of your elastic band is the water particles escaping. The water particles go up and up and up the tree. If it's a really hot, sunny day, the water particles evaporate. They leave the hole quite quickly, but faster than the water particles can go in at the bottom. So what ends up happening is this. Pull your elastic band, children. Look, your chain of water particles is getting stretched tighter and tighter and tighter because loads of water particles leaving at the top, not many coming in at the bottom. This equals bad for the tree. You can see what's going to happen, right? If this keeps happening on this really hot, warm, sunny day, the chain is going to break. And that's very bad for the tree because then it can't get water up into its leaves. So what it does is, what do you reckon it does? It's so simple. It's evolved to do this. It closes its hole. It shuts the stoma. So what happens then if your chain of water particles is getting very tight and tense? The hole is closed, and so this happens. Those water particles from the ground just kind of catch up. That's nice, isn't it? Happens at night as well. So this is how trees kind of regulate themselves. They just close the stoma and open the stoma, and that's what allows water to come up. Yeah, a lot of the water doesn't get used, but it's very useful because the water carries up with it lots of different nutrients as well, which the plant does need. Right, so that's how water gets up the tree. The lovely thing about, my favourite fact really about trees, which I didn't know for ages, they didn't really teach me in school, is I always kind of, it sort of always made it sound like the trees are giving off oxygen on purpose. like, I don't know, to please humans. But that's not what it is. What it is the tree, oh, I really wish I hadn't rubbed that off. The tree gets water particles from the soil, H2O, so 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen, and it gets this water particle from the soil. It's like, oh, brilliant, hydrogen, yes, need that, use that to make my sugar. What's that? I don't need that. And it just gets rid of it. Love it. Love that life on Earth can basically exist and that our atmosphere is good for us to breathe, because trees just went, hydrogen, oxygen. Don't need oxygen, just, you can have that. Amazing. Right, anyway. This has led us really nicely to probably my favourite bit of this lesson. We've all seen tree stumps, haven't we? We've all seen tree stumps with the tree rings. I don't know what any of those things are. I don't know why trees have rings. They sort of get a bit weird towards the edges. What is that? We're about to find that out. So, we've talked about the xylem. I'm going to write it down again. Here we go. The xylem is the tubes inside the trees that carries the water. Okay, are we all right with that now? I know it's a weird word, isn't it? Xylem carries water up the tree. It's a tube, many tubes called xylem that carry the water. Yeah, that's okay. There are other tubes in the tree which carry the sugar. They carry sugars all around the tree, you know, just like our bodies need energy. The whole tree needs energy. So you've got the sugar and all the nutrients being carried around the tree. And those are called phloem. Yeah, I'm not going to test you on this, but it's a good word. Here we go. So you've got xylem vessels, xylem tubes carrying water, phloem vessels carrying the sugar and the nutrients. And in between, guys, which I just learned about, you've got this layer of basically the living cells, the living bit of the tree called the cambium. And here's how it works. Oh, so I just love it when stuff that you kind of vaguely knew comes together. So this is the cambium bit. We'll start with this. The cambium layer in the tree trunk makes the xylem cells for the xylem tubes, and it makes the phloem cells for the phloem tubes. And when it makes a xylem cell, it pushes towards the middle of the tree. And when it makes a phloem cell, it pushes it towards the outside of the tree. So you end up with all these xylem cells building up. Do you get what I mean? The cambium makes the cells. It makes xylem tubes, which go towards the middle of the tree. And eventually those xylem tubes sort of die and build up and up and up. So the very middle of the tree is the dead xylem tubes, and that's called the heartwood. And then a little bit closer to the cambium, you've got the living xylem tubes, which are actually carrying the water, and that's called the sapwood. Then you've got the cambium, which is a little factory making it. And then on the other side, when the cambium makes phloem, it pushes it that way. And that's what carries the water and the, some water, but the sugary liquid. So, and then you get the bark right on the outside, which is the dead cells. And that sort of protects the tree, like keeps the water in. But that just, it suddenly makes sense. Like if you've ever seen a picture or you've seen sap coming out of a tree, that sticky, sweet liquid, don't eat it, but that's from the phloem, right? That's the very outside of the tree. So let's have a look at a real picture of a tree stump trunk thing. Doesn't this suddenly make sense now? So this dark bit inside, that's the heartwood, that's the dead xylem tubes that have been building up and up and up. This white bit is the sapwood, that's the xylem that we've just talked about carrying the water, which is still alive. Well, yeah, the heartwood, you say it's alive, sorry, the sapwood. And then the outside is obviously the bark. Let's go a bit closer. And then that kind of weird browny beigey layer there that I never knew what it was, that's the phloem where the sugar gets carried. And then right in between, you won't be able to see it, but in between the sapwood, the living xylem, and the phloem that carry the sugar, you've got that cambium layer. I'm so happy with that. And you can sort of tell, can't you? Like, that's what all these little holes are in the heartwood. They are the xylem that used to carry the water. And they don't anymore. Right. Whew. So we've got one more thing to talk about, and then a teeny tiny little mystery word quiz before we end the lesson. So I said there was a D word that people talk about to do with trees, and everyone just acts like it's like, oh yeah, normal, yeah. Everyone seems to be using it like it's an easy word, and to me it is an impossible, annoying word. Here's how I'm going to get to it. By doing this starter puzzle. So descend means to go down. If you speak French, they're always talking about descending. Les escaliers means go down the stairs. So descend means to go down. Deduct, so yeah, means to take away. If you defecate, you're doing a poo. Delicious means super tasty, and delete means the delete key on the computer. What I didn't know, yeah, the de means a lot of different things in Latin. So it can mean opposite, like if you declutter, you unclutter something. But I didn't know it can also mean to sort of go down or to go away. So there are two different types of tree. There are evergreen trees, which stay green. Evergreen, what a great word. It just does exactly what it says it should do. Evergreen. An evergreen tree is a tree that is always green. So Christmas trees are always green. That's why we bring them into the house at winter time, because even in the winter, they're always green. So I was gonna show you them on the table. I guess I will show you them on the table. So we've got evergreen trees in England, and we've got trees that are called, yeah, I'll show them in a sec. We've got evergreen trees that are native to the UK, not very many, just a couple. And we've also, most of our trees have leaves that fall off in the winter, and they're called deciduous trees. Deciduous. And I always thought, what a horrible word. Like, evergreen makes so much sense. They're always green. Their leaves stay on all year round. The opposite of evergreen is deciduous. Why isn't the opposite of evergreen sometimes not green? If we called them sometimes not green trees, that would be so easy to remember. It turns out the opposite of evergreen is deciduous, which kind of does mean sometimes not green. So D means to fall down or be away. So descend, the send bit sort of in Latin means climb. So descend means to climb down. Deduct means to like take away. Defecate, feces means poo. So defecate means like poo away. You're sending your poo away because you're pooing. Delicious is my favourite one. The licious bit in Latin sort of means to lure or to tempt. So delicious means something that is tempting you away or luring you away. Isn't that great? And the leet bit means sort of smear. So to delete something is to smear something away. So yeah, deciduous, dropping down, going away. Lovely, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, we need to start talking about these different kinds of tree. There's a couple of different ways that you can categorise trees. The main big way is to have broadleaf trees and conifers. Broadleaf is a great way to describe a tree because, again, it does what it says on the tin. When you picture a tree, you're probably picturing a broadleaf tree, a tree that has got broad leaves. So most of, if you're not in the UK, sorry, it's a bit boring, but most of the trees that we've got in the UK that are native to the UK are broadleaf trees, like this horse chestnut tree, conker tree. Got big broad leaves. This is an elder tree. If you're seeing my Lego show about badgers after this, then we'll talk about elder trees. Got broad leaves. This is a rowan tree leaf because it's very spiky. There's also an ash tree leaf, which, yeah, this I got really annoyed on Facebook yesterday because I've never been able to tell the difference between a rowan tree leaf and an ash tree leaf. I finally put two of them together and thought, oh yeah, okay, smooth and one of them spiky. How I'm going to remember it is Ash is a character from Pokemon, and Ash is a super cool smooth guy, and ash tree leaves are quite smooth. And rowan tree leaves are similar, but they're spiky. And then someone pointed out that Ash from Pokemon has spiky hair, and that sent my brain into meltdown, and now I don't know what to do again. But anyway, that's an ash tree leaf. That's a rowan tree leaf. There's an oak tree leaf. They're all broadleaf trees. The other type of tree is a conifer tree. Conifer means make cones. And you can get deciduous broadleaf trees and evergreen broadleaf trees and deciduous conifer trees and evergreen conifer trees. Whew. So the broadleaf trees have got broad leaves. The conifer trees, most of those have got needles, like Christmas trees, for example, is a conifer. So this isn't a Scots pine, but it's pretty similar. Scots pine is okay, so that kind of thing. Or if you've ever seen this kind of tree in a hedge, these don't look like what we think of as pine cones, but that's a conifer tree as well. This is not native to the UK, but it's very popular here. Yeah, and these tiny little balls that you see on those, they are actually cones. This is a conifer tree as well. So they would be conifers, and these ones would be broadleaves because of their broad leaves. So I'm thinking you should be able to give me an example of one of these, right? A broadleaf deciduous tree a broadleaf tree where the leaves fall off it is probably most of the trees that you're thinking of. So like our broadleaf, because they've got broad leaves, and they're deciduous, their leaves go brown and they fall off in the wintertime, yeah? A yew, our native yew in the UK, is a good example of a tree that is evergreen. Its leaves stay on the whole time, and it's a conifer. I mean, it doesn't actually make cones, but it makes little berries called owls. Anyway, moving on. You do get deciduous conifer trees, which are very unusual and super cool. The larch isn't native to the UK, but it's been here for a long time. So the larch is a conifer tree that has needles, but those needles go golden brown and fall off in the winter, which is very cool. So it's deciduous. And then I said, and I don't know whether you saw this bit or not, I said there are broadleaf evergreen trees that have got broad leaves and their leaves stay on all year round. Can you think of an example? There's one very famous example, which we've already mentioned this lesson. This is what its leaves sound like. You got it? You guess? Do you know? There are a few broadleaf evergreens, but there's only one that I've got in my hand at the moment that we've talked about. It's holly. There you go. Good, eh? So there are different kinds of trees. And then I said, thank you so much for watching. That's the lesson, except I'm going to ask you just 3 little questions. I'm going to ask you 3 multiple choice questions. And you've got to choose the letter that you think goes with the right answer. And at the end of the 3 questions, you will have a 3-letter word. And if you've answered the questions correctly, you'll have the correct 3-letter word. You'll have the mystery word. And if you haven't answered them correctly, hopefully you'll still have a word, if I've done it right. Here we go. So, which of these is the best diagram of what tree roots look like? Which of these is the best diagram of what tree roots look like? Is it B? So you've got 3 identical trees here. One, B, has got tree roots which are sort of very long and shallow. One has got tree roots which are basically sort of same shape as the tree. And one has got tree roots which are a triangle. So if you think it's the first one, write B. If you think that tree roots are pretty much the same shape as the tree branches, then write L. And if you think that tree roots kind of taper off into a triangle, then write D, okay? That's your first letter of your mystery word. Number 2, did you get that? Not going too fast. First one's B or L or D. Number 2, you pass a large rhododendron bush. Your friend looks at the beautiful purple flowers and says, we should plant one of those in our local forest. Do you say E, great idea, that'll help the pollinators? Or do you say, oh, no way, it will take over and kill the native species? I should have said you're in the UK, obviously. If you're in China, then your response might be quite different. But imagine you're in the UK, you pass a large rhododendron bush with your friend, and they say, we should plant one of those in our local forest. Do you say, great idea, it'll help the pollinators? That's E. Or, no way, it will take over and kill the native species. That is O. And the last question. Which bit of this tree stump is the heartwood? Which bit in this diagram of a tree stump is the heartwood? Is it the bit in the middle, G? Is it the bit towards the outside, Y? Or is it the bit right at the edge, N? You got that? You got your mystery word? So look. Question number 1. The answer is, I know, I didn't realise this, although if you look at pictures of trees that have been uprooted, you can actually tell this straight away. It's just art is powerful. It's B. Yeah, they look like this. They're quite shallow. Like 90% of tree roots, I read, are in the top 60 centimetres of the soil. Rhododendron bushes are a big menace in the UK. The Forestry Commission do not care if you cut down a rhododendron bush. So that is O. They're not good for our native species. Perfectly lovely plant if you live in, for example, China. So that was O. And the bit of that tree stump, which is the heartwood, in the middle, it's the dead xylem vessels that have been pushed right into the middle of the tree. So your mystery word was bog. I thought log would be too obvious, so it's bog. Well done if you got that. Right, at the end of this, the second version of the What is a Tree lesson, if I get around to it, which I won't, I will try and clag them together to make one YouTube video. It's just so faffy. It takes so much time. Thank you very much if you found me again. Thank you very much if you watched the first bit live and then you're having to watch this bit on catch up. Hello, I see you. Thank you very much for coming back. How all this works is everything that I do is free. I don't think I'm going to be able to go to my Facebook page because I haven't got any internet still, so I can't get to my Facebook page. I don't think. I'm trying. Yeah, everything that I do is free. Printouts for the lessons are free. They're available on my website. They're optional. Everything goes on the board as well. And yeah, I don't have any internet. Printouts for lessons are free. If you're watching live, or indeed if you're watching on catch up, I do a Lego story show. I do these all ages lessons and IGCSE physics lessons, just live streamed like this with printouts. But I also do this thing called the Lego story show, where it's just a chat about a thing that I learned about this week, and there's a Lego story and we do an activity. And this week I made it about badgers because I thought that fit in very nicely with our Woodlands theme. So if you want to know how to spot a badger specifically, then the Lego story show, which is on at 10:30 on YouTube, is here, and you should come. So all of that is free, and I just say if you can afford £5 a month towards all the vast amounts of work that I put into my lessons, then please sign up with £5 a month to support me. I will send you very nice things occasionally to say thank you. I send you Theatre of Science magazine when I've written it, and some rainbow glasses. So yeah, if you go to this website called Coffee, if you're on YouTube now, which obviously you are, it's in my About section. If you go to the About section on YouTube and click sign up, then you will have all my gratitude, because this is literally the only way that anyone in my family makes money. Clearly it's the best job ever. Look at me, I'm just sat in my office learning about trees and then telling you about trees and getting paid. It's amazing. So £5 a month is enough from all of you that it's a wage for me. But hopefully £5 a month for all the free live stream lessons and printouts and all Lego story shows it's good value for you. So yeah, it's just working phenomenally well. It's just a business model that the home ed community and I just kind of made up in lockdown, and long may it continue, because my CV is in fire now. So yeah, if you sign up to support with £5 a month, I will send you Theatre of Science magazine. It's very good. It should be. It takes me forever to write. So I send you a past or copy or two when you sign up. If you sign up for £5 a month, you get this mould issue, which has a choose your own adventure about mould. It's got a comic all about how penicillin was discovered. I send you a free home compostable plastic bag so you can grow some mould. And if you sign up with £6 a month, I send you this sleep issue as well, which also has a choose your own adventure and a beautiful comic about sleep, an origami koala, and loads of information about sleeping. So I've got little jigsaw. Yeah, I just really like Theatre of Science magazine. It's the science magazine that I would want in my life. And some diffraction glasses, and then you're on the list for when Theatre of Science magazine comes out, which is very infrequently. The money is sort of to pay for the lessons, and the magazine is a thank you. Right, with huge apologies, I'm going to go, because I'm sure you're all writing loads of wonderful, lovely things and sending me pictures on Facebook, as you usually do. Because hopefully the post is there on Facebook saying, comment here if you're watching live, but there's no way for me to get to those comments without ending the live stream, because I'd have to see them on my phone. So I'm just going to go, and I'll have to read the comments later. I'm so sorry. I know, because I saw it before I went live, that Shuki and Alza and Eunice and Salah and Musa are watching. So hello, you five. And everyone else, deep apologies. I'll have to catch up with you later. I'm going to go, because I'm going to reset Badger Lego Story Show, which I showed yesterday. And there's quite a lot of poo, actually, like sort of Lego story poo that I need to clean up so that I can spray it all over again in half an hour. So do join me in half an hour if that interests you. I'll see you soon. Bye.